Queensland's new LNP government has begun assembling a committee to review plans for the 2032 Olympics and come up with a venue for the Games. Meanwhile, Labor has announced its new shadow cabinet. Our state political reporter in Queensland, Clarke, has more.
The so-called Independent Coordination Authority will comprise a 7-member panel tasked with consulting with government, business and sporting stakeholders and recommending a venue plan for the 2032 Brisbane Olympic Games. Labor planned to redevelop the ageing Cusack Stadium in Brisbane South after massive blowouts in the original Gabba plan. The LNP has scrapped Cusack and said no new stadiums would be built, putting the Gabba back on the table along with other potential existing venue redevelopments. But Queensland's new Deputy Premier, Jared Blay, would not guarantee the government would follow the Independent Coordination Authority's recommendation.
Okay, will you go with what they produce?
We're going to have an independent coordination authority. They'll be responsible for coming up with the recommendations and implementing the recommendations.
And you'll go with what they recommend.
We'll look at what they advise.
So you won't necessarily go with what they suggest.
We'll look at what they advise.
Meanwhile, Queensland Labor has unveiled its shadow cabinet with some notable promotions and demotions. Former Health Minister Shannon Fentiman is now the Shadow Treasurer. Deputy Leader and former Treasurer Cameron Dick is in charge of infrastructure and planning. Glenn Butcher has taken over the crime portfolio. Mark Ryan has been relegated to the backbench. Bundaberg MP Tom Smith, who had a 9-vote margin but managed to hold his seat at last month's election, is the Shadow Primary Industries or Agriculture and Manufacturing Minister. Mark Bailey, the former Transport Minister, has returned to Labor's front bench, now as Shadow Health Minister.
Mark Bailey is back. Budget blowout is back. Budget Bailey blowout is back. Mark Bailey was the minister responsible for every transport and main roads blowout, and now he has been put back into the shadow cabinet in a senior leadership position.
Queensland's new parliament will assemble for the first time at the end of this month. First on the LNP's agenda is to make its hardline adult crime, adult time laws legislation, which it promises to do by Christmas.